The scene opens with Detective Alex Carter standing in front of a blood-spattered wall. The eerie silence of the abandoned house feels suffocating as he stares at the cryptic message scrawled in dark red. The words seem to mock him, lingering in the dim light. "I've been here. Look closer." Alex's heart races. There's something disturbingly personal about this crime. The thick smell of decay hangs in the air, the silence broken only by the echo of his heavy footsteps on the floor. The officers around him are already starting their investigation, but Alex knows this one will haunt him. His mind flashes back to a case he worked years ago, one that almost destroyed him. He can't shake the feeling that this case will lead him down an even darker path. His stomach churns, and he reaches out to touch the wall, almost unwilling to acknowledge what he's seeing. The dread grows as he looks around, eyes scanning for any clue that might explain the horror before him. What had happened here, and why was the message so personal? The camera fades to the following morning, where Detective Alex Carter sits behind his desk, still reeling from the discovery at the crime scene. His thoughts are clouded, and his head pounds from lack of sleep. He flips through case files, but none of them offer any clarity. The phone rings, its shrill sound snapping him back to the present. It's an anonymous tip. The caller's voice is low and muffled, but the message is clear. The victim knew something. They were about to tell everything. Find the letters. Before Alex can respond, the line goes dead. He hangs up, his fingers trembling. There's no time to waste. He must find these letters, but they're nowhere in the files. Desperation creeps into his voice as he mutters, "What am I missing?" Alex grabs his coat, determined to chase down the lead, even if it means digging deeper into the darkness he's been avoiding. Alex arrives at the station, the weight of the case heavy on his shoulders. As he steps through the entrance, he's greeted by Detective Sarah Blake, his trusted partner. Sarah is reviewing documents, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I ran the background check on the victim," she says without looking up. "There's something odd here. The victim, Rachel Matthews, was linked to a string of unsolved disappearances. They were always assumed unrelated, but the pattern's starting to make sense now." Alex stares at her, processing the new information. "You think someone wanted to silence her?" Sarah nods, her lips pressed in a tight line. "I do. But we need to be sure." The air between them is tense. They've been down this road before, but something about this feels different. Alex's gut tells him they're getting closer to something more sinister. He takes a deep breath and glances toward the back of the station. "Let's go." They arrive at the morgue, where the body of Rachel Matthews lies on a metal table, covered by a white sheet. The cold, sterile environment sends a chill down Alex's spine. Dr. Linda Price, the coroner, is already waiting. She lifts the sheet, revealing the victim's lifeless body. Rachel Matthews, age 28, female, dark hair, pale skin, dressed in a hospital gown, lies still, her eyes wide open in shock. The cause of death is blunt force trauma to the head, but something feels off. Dr. Price motions for Alex to look closer. "There's a small cut on the back of her neck," she says, pointing to the injury. "It's not from the blunt force. Someone injected something here before they struck her." Alex's stomach turns. "You're saying she was poisoned?" Dr. Price nods. "Exactly. But I've never seen this type of poison before." Alex's mind races. Someone had silenced Rachel before they even got to her. Back at the station, Alex and Sarah gather with the rest of the team in a small, cramped conference room. The board behind them is covered in photos, red string, and notes. Alex looks at the evidence, his mind working in overdrive. "Rachel knew something," he says, staring at the string that links the unsolved disappearances. "She was about to tell us everything, but someone got to her first." Sarah leans in, her voice steady. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't random. It was calculated." Alex's fists clench as he slams his hand onto the table, frustrated. "I don't care who they are. We're going to find them." The room goes silent as everyone processes his words. There's no turning back now. They're too deep into this to quit. The case has just become personal for Alex. The next morning, Detective Alex Carter's mind is racing. The phone call from the night before has left him sleepless. He stares at the case files in front of him, his thoughts scattered. The letters, he mutters to himself. They're the missing piece, the key to understanding why Rachel Matthews was targeted. He's convinced of it now. But where are they? He runs his fingers through his hair in frustration, the burden of the case weighing heavier by the minute. As he flips through the documents, he comes across something unexpected, a photograph of Rachel with a man named Thomas Walker. His heart skips a beat. Walker was the last person seen with Rachel before her disappearance. Alex's gut tells him this isn't a coincidence. Walker's name had appeared in the background of previous investigations, but he'd always been a ghost. Now it seems the man's connection to Rachel is no accident. With determination, Alex picks up his phone, ready to track down this lead. He knows this is the moment when things will start to make sense, even if it means uncovering more than he bargained for. Alex stands outside a small apartment complex, the smell of fresh rain lingering in the air. He's about to meet Thomas Walker, the man he believes holds the answers to Rachel's tragic death. As he knocks on the door, he rehearses his words in his head. He needs Walker to talk, but deep down, Alex senses that this man knows far more than he's letting on. After what feels like an eternity, the door creaks open. A tall, scruffy man, age 33, male, unshaven, disheveled, appears in the doorway. His eyes narrow as he recognizes Alex. "What do you want?" he asks, his voice tinged with suspicion. Alex keeps his cool, flashing his badge. "We need to talk about Rachel Matthews," he says. Walker steps back, his posture defensive. "I don't know anything about her," he mutters. But there's something in his eyes that betrays his words. Alex steps inside, determined to get the truth, but every instinct tells him Walker is hiding something important. Inside Walker's apartment, the tension continues to build. Alex sits across from him, studying his every move. Walker's nervousness is palpable, his hands fidgeting with a lighter on the table. "I didn't know Rachel was in trouble," Walker insists, his voice shaking slightly. But Alex can see through the facade. The man's every movement betrays him. "You were seen with her the night she disappeared," Alex says, his voice steady. Walker stiffens, then quickly deflects. "I don't know what you're talking about." Alex leans in, his gaze unwavering. "You're lying, Walker. You know exactly what happened. You've been avoiding the truth for far too long." The room feels colder, and for a moment, there's silence. Walker's eyes flicker toward the door, and Alex follows his gaze. "You think I'm scared?" Walker spits. "You should be." Hours later, Alex sits in his car, the weight of Walker's words lingering in his mind. He pulls out his phone and checks for any updates. The case is moving faster than he expected. Just then, a notification pings on his phone. It's an alert about a new lead. Someone claiming to have information about the letters Rachel was looking for before her death. The text is vague but promising. "I know where they are. Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street. Alex's heart races. He knows this is the break they've been waiting for. Without hesitation, he starts the car, the engine's hum filling the silence. He speeds down the street, the cold night air pressing against the windows. This could be the turning point, but Alex has learned the hard way that the more urgent the lead, the more dangerous it is. His grip tightens on the steering wheel as the city lights blur outside. The warehouse looms ahead as Alex pulls into the dark parking lot. The area is eerily quiet, with only the sound of his footsteps echoing in the empty space. He steps out of the car, his senses on high alert. The door to the warehouse is slightly ajar, and a faint light flickers from within. Alex draws his weapon, his heart pounding in his chest. He's not alone. As he moves closer, a figure emerges from the shadows. It's a woman, disheveled and scared, holding a crumpled envelope in her hand. She hesitates before speaking, her voice trembling. "I have the letters, but you need to listen to me first," she says, her eyes darting nervously toward the dark corners of the warehouse. Alex approaches her slowly, his instincts telling him this is a critical moment. But as she opens the envelope, something feels terribly wrong. The meeting with the woman in the warehouse has left Alex unsettled. The envelope in her trembling hands contained a list of names, but one name stood out: Thomas Walker. His connection to Rachel Matthews is undeniable now. What is this? Why does Walker's name keep coming up? Alex asks, his voice filled with frustration. The woman, her eyes darting nervously around, hesitates before speaking. He's not who you think he is. He's been using Rachel to get closer to someone else. The revelation hits Alex like a cold wave. He can barely process the weight of her words. Walker had been playing a dangerous game, and Rachel had unknowingly become a pawn. But who was the real target here? You have to stop him before it's too late, the woman whispers. Alex nods, but the air around him feels suffocating. He has to move fast now. Time is running out. As he exits the warehouse, his mind is already racing through the possible connections, trying to piece together the truth that seems just out of reach. The next day, Alex sits in his car, reviewing the list of names from the envelope. His thoughts race, but one name continues to stand out: Daniel Grant. A man he hasn't thought of in years. Daniel was a key player in an unsolved case from 5 years ago, one that nearly cost Alex his career. The connection between Rachel Matthews and Daniel Grant was thin but undeniable. Could it really be him? Alex wonders aloud, his voice barely a whisper. He pulls his phone from the dashboard, dialing Sarah's number. "We need to talk about Grant," he says, his tone urgent. The conversation that follows is tense. Sarah too recognizes the name. "This just keeps getting worse, Alex," she replies. "We need to find him, now." The stakes have just risen. Alex's pulse quickens as he speeds toward Daniel's last known location, the tension in the air almost suffocating. He's about to walk into a storm of secrets, lies, and danger. At the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, Alex and Sarah find a hidden office inside the building, sealed off for years. The walls are covered with old maps, photographs, and notes, all tied to unsolved cases. It's clear that someone had been working in the shadows for a long time. "This is it," Sarah says, pointing to a series of photos pinned to the wall. Alex's gaze lands on one photo in particular, a picture of Daniel Grant with Rachel Matthews. The connection is undeniable. "He's been following her," Alex murmurs, his voice tight with realization. But there's something more. The maps on the wall mark locations in the city, places where people had disappeared. "This was never about Rachel," Alex says, the truth dawning on him. "It's bigger than that. Grant was using her to get to someone else." The realization hits them both like a freight train. The network of secrets they're uncovering is much more dangerous than they had anticipated. With the new evidence in hand, Alex and Sarah head to Daniel Grant's last known address, an upscale apartment in the heart of the city. As they walk toward the entrance, Alex's phone buzzes. It's a message from the woman at the warehouse. "You're too close," it reads, followed by a string of cryptic numbers. "If you want the truth, follow the trail." Alex's heart races. Who is trying to warn them? And why now? As they reach the apartment door, Alex's hand hovers over the doorbell, but something doesn't feel right. He motions for Sarah to stand back. The silence in the hallway feels unnaturally still, and as Alex rings the doorbell, he feels a cold chill run down his spine. The door creaks open slowly, revealing nothing but darkness inside. He steps inside cautiously, his gun drawn. The apartment feels empty, but the tension is palpable. "Grant?" Alex calls out, his voice echoing through the apartment. There's no answer, but Alex knows that someone is watching them. Inside the apartment, Alex and Sarah search every corner, but there's no sign of Daniel Grant. The silence is oppressive, broken only by their footsteps on the hardwood floors. As Alex opens the door to a back room, his breath catches in his throat. There, sprawled across the floor, is a body, Grant's body. His eyes are wide open, staring at nothing. The room reeks of death. Sarah rushes over to the body, checking for a pulse, but it's clear. Grant is dead. Alex steps back, his mind racing. He's too late. But the message from the woman at the warehouse suddenly clicks in his mind. Grant wasn't the real target. Someone else had orchestrated this, and they were getting closer to their endgame. Who did this? Alex asks, the question hanging in the air. Sarah looks around the room. We don't know yet, but we're about to find out. As they begin searching for clues, Alex's phone buzzes again, and he knows the next move is critical. The truth is slowly emerging, but the pieces don't fit together. Alex stares at the file on his desk, deep in thought. The connection between Daniel Grant and Rachel Matthews leads to a dead end. His phone rings. It's Sarah. You need to get to the precinct, now. Something's wrong. Alex rushes to the station, his mind racing. The case is slipping through his fingers. When he arrives, he's greeted by the sight of a familiar face, the victim's brother, David Matthews, standing in front of the police chief. David's voice trembles with emotion. I know who did this. David Matthews explains that his sister Rachel had been involved in a dangerous game for months. She uncovered something she wasn't supposed to, he says, voice shaking. Alex and Sarah listen intently as David reveals that Rachel's death was no accident. She had been targeted by powerful people. He hesitates before naming the one person who orchestrated it all, Officer Ethan Gray, a trusted officer within their department. The revelation stuns them both. Gray has been covering his tracks for years, David insists. Alex's world tilts on its axis. We need to bring him in, Alex says firmly. The news about Officer Ethan Gray sends shockwaves through the department. Alex and Sarah set out to find him. As they reach his apartment, the door is ajar. Cautiously, Alex enters, gun drawn. The apartment is eerily quiet. They move through the rooms, the stillness unsettling. In the bedroom they find Gray, dead, shot in the head. His body is sprawled on the floor, blood staining the carpet. He knew we were coming, Alex mutters. The entire department is now a ticking time bomb. Gray was just the beginning, and Alex has no idea who the true mastermind is. Back at the precinct, Alex and Sarah pore over Gray's records. It becomes clear that Gray wasn't just a corrupt officer. He was deeply connected to the underground world of organized crime. As they connect the dots, they realize the extent of his betrayal. He was never just an officer, Sarah says, flipping through the files. He was the linchpin. Alex slams his fist on the desk in frustration. Who else is involved? How deep does this go? The answer isn't clear yet, but one thing is certain. The conspiracy is bigger than they ever imagined. With their investigation in full swing, Alex and Sarah now know they are dealing with a dangerous network of corruption. The pieces are falling into place, but with each answer, new questions arise. As they chase down leads, Alex begins to realize that someone in their department might be playing both sides. The real mastermind has been hiding in plain sight all along. We've got to move fast, Alex says to Sarah. Before we're next. The threat is closing in, and the stakes have never been higher. The investigation has reached its breaking point. Alex and Sarah are on their way to confront the mastermind behind the entire conspiracy, Captain John Walters. They know he's been pulling the strings from the start. As they pull up to the police station, Alex's mind races. This is it, he says, his voice tight with resolve. No more hiding, no more games. As they step out of the car, they are met by Walters' security detail. We're not leaving without him, Alex says, his voice steady. Walters is dangerous, but they're ready. This ends tonight. Inside the police station, Walters is waiting for them, a cold smile on his face. He knows they're coming. I expected you to, Walters says, his tone calm but mocking. You think you've won, but you're just pawns in a game you can't even begin to understand. Alex steps forward, his voice steely. This ends now, Walters. Walters chuckles darkly. You're too late. The wheels are already in motion. As he moves toward the exit, Walters pulls out a hidden weapon. Alex and Sarah react instantly, gunshots ringing out in the silence of the station. The confrontation escalates into a deadly game of cat and mouse. Walter's weapon is aimed at Alex, but Sarah fires first. Walters stumbles back, clutching his shoulder, but his eyes never leave Alex. You think you've won? Walters spits, blood dribbling from his mouth. You'll never stop what's coming. Alex stands tall, his voice filled with finality. It's over, Walters. You're finished. As Walters collapses, gasping for breath, Alex looks at Sarah. Let's bring him in. With Walters in custody, the investigation winds down. Alex and Sarah sit in their office, the weight of their victory settling in. We did it, Sarah says, her voice soft. But Alex knows that while they've taken down one monster, there are others still lurking in the shadows. It's over for now, Alex replies, but the battle is far from won. They may have ended one chapter, but the next is already waiting. As Alex watches the sunset outside the window, he knows the fight for justice never truly ends. As Alex walks out of the precinct, he's met by the sight of a familiar figure in the distance. The woman from the warehouse is standing in the shadows, waiting. You did well, she says, her voice quiet. But there's more you don't know. Alex approaches her cautiously, the weight of her words hanging in the air. What else is there? He asks, his voice steady but filled with curiosity. The woman smiles cryptically. The real game is just beginning. You've taken down one player, but there are others, bigger and more dangerous than you can imagine. With that, she disappears into the night, leaving Alex to wonder what he's truly up against. Alex and Sarah have caught the major players, but the case lingers in the back of their minds. As they enter the station, the weight of everything finally begins to settle. We did it, Sarah says softly, but Alex is lost in thought. The closure they've gained isn't enough to ease the heavy feeling in his chest. Not yet, Alex mutters, there's always more. They're quiet as they walk into the briefing room. The chief, exhausted but relieved, nods in acknowledgement. You two did good. This department will be better for it. But Alex knows this isn't the end. Not for him. Not for anyone. At the bar, Alex and Sarah sit in silence, their drinks untouched. The case is closed, but the emotional toll lingers. You think we'll ever really get justice for Rachel? Sarah asks, her voice quiet. Alex looks at her, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Maybe justice isn't about closure. Maybe it's about knowing we did what we could. They sit in silence, the weight of their conversation heavy between them. For the first time, Alex allows himself to feel the loss. We did good, he finally says, raising his glass. But there's always something left. The investigation may be over, but the aftermath is just beginning. Alex sits at his desk reviewing the case files once more. He knows there are holes in the story that no one can ever fill. His phone rings, snapping him back to reality. Alex, it's the commissioner. The voice on the other end says, we need to talk about your future here. Alex's chest tightens. He knows what this means. He's been both a hero and a target in this case. As the call ends, Sarah walks in, her face tight with concern. What's next for you, Alex? The conversation with the commissioner feels like a formality, but Alex knows better. You've been through a lot, Carter, the commissioner says. And we've got a position for you, if you want it. Alex remains silent, his mind swirling with thoughts. The department's offer is tempting, but the reality is different. What do you want, Alex? Sarah's voice breaks through his thoughts. He looks up at her, and for a moment, the weight of the world lifts. I want to keep fighting, he says softly, determination returning to his eyes. I'm not done yet. As Alex leaves the commissioner's office, he knows he's made his choice. He's not walking away from the fight. I'm staying, he says, his voice filled with conviction. Sarah smiles, her face softening. We've got work to do then. As they walk out of the station together, Alex feels the weight of the future pressing down on him. But for the first time he feels like he's ready to face whatever comes next. The city never sleeps, and neither does Alex. This may have ended, but the battle for justice is ongoing. As Alex walks down the street, he reflects on everything he's learned. The pain, the betrayal, the lives shattered. The sun is just beginning to rise, casting a soft golden light over the city. We did what we could, he thinks to himself. But the truth is, the city is still full of shadows, and the fight for justice is far from over. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he's ready for it. Back at the precinct, Alex and Sarah gather one last time. The department has given them a small token of appreciation, but the real reward is the knowledge that they've made a difference. "You think we've really changed anything?" Sarah asks, her voice quiet. Alex looks at her, his eyes filled with conviction. "We've changed everything," he says. "One step at a time." As Alex leaves the precinct for the last time, the weight of the case feels lighter. He knows that justice has been served, but he also knows there's always more to do. "You coming?" Sarah asks from the door. Alex smiles, nodding. "Fine." "Let's go," he says. Together, they step into the unknown, ready to face whatever comes next. The final moments of the case unfold as Alex reflects on the road ahead. "We've come a long way," he says to Sarah, who nods in agreement. "But this isn't the end," Alex continues. "There's always more to fight for." They look at each other, knowing their journey is far from over. The city sprawls before them, a never-ending series of challenges. But for Alex, it's just another day in the life of a detective. As the credits roll, Alex walks alone through the city, his silhouette blending with the shadows. The fight for justice may never end, but he's ready for whatever comes next. The city is his to protect, and he will never stop fighting for those who need it the most.